Hi everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel. This is my May TBR. So I'm being very ambitious in May in that I have a lot of books I want to get through. To be fair, I don't really have many plans outside of getting our porch done, and I think I'm going to try to keep my weekends as free as possible so that we can focus on the porch, which does mean that I should have a lot of time to read as long as I'm not stressed. And my strategy for May, because I'm doing terribly, spoiler alert, on my zero TBR challenge, I went a bit rogue in March, as you may recall, and I bought a ton of books. And so that means that my zero TBR challenge isn't going very well because I haven't read all of them yet. But I'm being very strategic in May in that I am going to be reading the shortest books on my TBR in an attempt to get through as many as possible. I am going to be mostly mood reading in May, so I may switch this up a little bit, but for the most part these are the books I'm going to be looking at when I try to decide what I'm going to read. So I'm going to show you the shortest books on my TBR. I'm also going to show you some NetGalley books that I want to read because I have a few of those to get to, and I also have some library books and a book club book that I want to read as well, so let me show you those. First of all, starting off with the library book, we have Far From the Light of Heaven by Taylee Thompson. I have read a book by this author before and I hated it. It was called Rosewater. It's one of the worst books I've ever read, but I'm hoping this book is going to be better because it's not his debut. I'm hoping he has calmed down a little bit with the sex references and he's realised that maybe he can write a book that's not all about sex and it can still be intriguing. So I'm reading this as part of the Space Sirens book club. It's a book club that I run with a bunch of friends. It's been going for 2 years now and I love our monthly discussions. This says that it's about a colony ship that's been travelling light years. There's a distress call, scheming politicians, there's a colony planet, and a sinister mystery. So that sounds really good to me. It's obviously a sci-fi book. It's all set in space, perhaps in another galaxy, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I also have 2 other library books that I'm going to try my best to get to because I'm really in the mood for them. The first one is The Deep, and I'm thinking about pairing this one because this is about the Titanic with, I think it's called Luck on the Titanic or Love on the Titanic. I'll put the cover here. I'm hoping to read that this month as well, alongside The Deep and perhaps Dead Silence. This is getting very ambitious, like I said, as part of a reading vlog maybe, if I want to do a themed reading vlog. And I've just seen someone's hair under here. I hate the deep ocean, so this book is going to be truly horrifying. It's a horror book based around the Titanic. It says here that someone or something is haunting the Titanic. Deaths and disappearances have plagued the vast liner from the moment she began her maiden voyage on 10th of April 1912. Disaster strikes. 4 years later and the world is at war. Having survived that fateful night, Annie is now a nurse on board the Titanic's sister ship, the Britannic. And so I think someone or something is haunting Annie from the Titanic to the Britannic, and terrible things are going to happen. Honestly, this is creeping me out, so I'm going to put it down now. I'm hoping it's going to be a really good book because I've heard really good things about this author. So yeah, like I said, I might be pairing that with Dead Silence and Love or Luck on the Titanic. I will get the title right when it comes time to actually buy the book. The next library book that I want to read in May is The Doors of Eden. This is by Adrian Tchaikovsky, who I have read from before. I really enjoyed Children of Time by him. This one is about parallel universes and portals and things, and that's the reason why I want to read this, because that's one of my favourite things to read about. And I've also recently finished the TV show Dark, which is a time travel kind of show. I don't really want to go into too much detail because of spoilers, but that's really gotten me in the mood for some sci-fi, so that's why I've decided to pick this one up. And then I have a whole pile of books that are all the shortest books on my TBR that I'm really dying to read, so I'm just going to work my way down, show you the ones I'm considering reading. I'm sorry about this brightness, by the way. It's because I've got a massive window there and it's shining light on me. So the first tiny book I have is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I read Kindred by her recently and loved it. I gave it 5 stars, so I'm hoping I'm going to love this one as well. I hauled this recently, but I haven't shown it off in a booktube video yet, so here it is. I can't wait to try it. This one is dystopian. I think it was written in the 70s, but it's still futuristic dystopian. I'm fairly sure it's set in the 2020s, which is creepy, but I'm fairly sure this covers global warming, which is something that I'm really interested in reading about, so I want to give that a go. There's also Trail of Lightning, which I've been trying to read since the start of the year, and I think I'm finally in the mood to read some urban fantasy, which is kind of what this is. It's definitely some sort of paranormal urban fantasy-ish kind of thing. I also want to try to read Devil All the Time. I watched the film last year and loved it, so I immediately put this book on my wish list. It's got a whole bunch of main characters and it's set in these 2 small towns, but basically the main characters are this pervy preacher, a veteran, a couple who are serial killers, and they're all kind of interconnected, and it's really clever, at least the film was, and I'm hoping the book is going to be really good as well. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next we have one that I don't really know much about. I think I received it unsolicited from the publisher years ago. I can't remember when this came out. Let me just check. 2017, so it would have been sent to me 5 years ago, and that is The White Tower. It says here that this one is about the main character who has lost her best friend as in her best friend has died. The main character starts a new school and she is struggling to fit in. She gets drawn to the roof of the ancient White Tower, and then she gets the strangest sensation of weightlessness. So it sounds a bit weird, but I'm going to give it a go. I've had it for years, so I might as well try it and then see if I want to keep reading or unhaul it. The next two books are ones that, no, the next three books are ones that I've had again for years, and I'm reading these as part of my sort of booktube history challenge that I'm doing, which I will make a video about eventually. I just haven't yet because I'm unorganised. First one is Die For Me by Amy Plum. Old school booktubers might recognise this book. This, I can't remember what it's about. The main two characters are living in Paris with their grandparents. They're orphans. The main character meets a sexy, mysterious and unnervingly charming guy called Vincent Delacroix. Delacroix? My French is non-existent. It says here that Vincent is no normal human, he has a terrifying destiny, and he has immortal murderous enemies. So this sounds like it was written in 2014, which it probably was. Oh no, 2011, so it's really old school. This would have come out just as I was starting my booktube channel, so I'm gonna give that a go. I also have Meridian by Kaiser, which is another short one. This one is about a half human and half angel main character called Meridian. On her 16th birthday, a car crashes in front of her family's home. Although she is untouched, Meridian's body explodes in pain. Meridian is told that she's a danger to her family, and so she's sent off to her great aunt's house in Colorado. Meridian needs to learn how to transition human souls to the afterlife, how to help people die. I think when I bought this, I was on a huge fallen angel kick, because Hush Hush was like the main book that everyone was reading. Everyone loved it. I still haven't finished that series actually. Maybe I should do that as part of a challenge. And so I picked this one up because again, it was everywhere. A lot of the booktubers that I was watching at the time, or book bloggers that I was following, were picking this one up. This one came out in 2009. And then I have a book that I'm not too sure, I think I've actually tried to read this one once before and I didn't really like it. That's because of the writing style. Not really the writing style, it's just the dialogue doesn't have speech marks, and I've kind of gotten over that being a problem now, but I still don't like it. I think it's very frustrating, and please just use normal punctuation. So that is Girl in the Arena by Liza Haynes. I don't really know much about this one other than it being Roman inspired, and I bought this before my Roman obsessed days as well. I saw it in a few different places, so I decided to pick it up. I'm just trying to see when it came out because I don't actually know. This one came out in 2009, 2010 as well, so again right at the start of my booktube channel. I don't know if this is a series or not, but I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. I might try to pair this one with Valiant, or The Valiant, which is another historical fiction book. I think this one might be futuristic dystopian though. Just 4 more to go in terms of my shortest books. I have Where the Forest Meets the Stars. This one is literary fiction, I think. It's about a main character who loses her mother, and she is also diagnosed with breast cancer, and then a random child comes out of the woods and introduces herself, and the things kick off from there, I suppose. It sounds quite creepy, but I don't think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be kind of heartwarming, heartfelt, I suppose. So I'm gonna try that and see what I think of it. My friend Jen got me that actually. I've also got Never Let Me Go, which is a twisty book apparently, but I've also kind of had the twist spoiled for me, which I don't mind so much. It's just a bit frustrating. The synopsis doesn't really say too much. I think it's assumed that everyone knows what this is about. Apparently it's a story of love, friendship and memory. So there's that one. I also have a short non-fiction book that I bought a while ago as part of my true crime series I still haven't carried on with, but I want to eventually. That is Bloody Valentine. So this is non-fiction about a woman who was killed on Valentine's Day in 1988, I think, in Cardiff, and 3 black men were wrongfully convicted of her murder. I think it covers racism and misogyny in Thatcher's Britain. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. It is tiny, so I'm hoping to fly through it. I hope it's a good one. I also have a recent purchase, which is The Girl with the Louding Voice. This one is set in Nigeria, I think. The main character is 14 years old and she is the 3rd wife of a man who lives in a small Nigerian village. The main character is determined not to settle for her fate, and so she embarks on a journey that will change her life, and if you listen closely, possibly yours. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be very powerful, so that's why that's on my TBR. It's also obviously really short. I do have a couple of longer books that I need to make some progress on because I've been doing really badly. I've mentioned these in 1 or 2 TBRs before, but I just want to mention them again so that I can keep them on my TBR pile for the month. The first one is Malice. I'm still not very far through this one, but I do want to make a bit more progress on it soon because I want to finish it and see if I want to read the rest of the series. That's a fantasy book. Another fantasy book that I want to make some progress in is The Black Prism. I actually enjoyed the first 30 or so pages that I read of this one. I was very, very intrigued and it was very gripping, so I'm looking forward to carrying on with this one. This is the one that I'm probably most likely to carry on with this month in May. And then finally there's one that I haven't actually started yet, but I do need to because I told myself that I would, and I also bought the sequel. And because I've bought the sequel, I want to try to make some progress with the first book so that I can say that I've started it, so it's not just sitting on my shelf unread. And that is The Pillars of the Earth, and this book is chunky. It's what, 1,000 and something pages, 1,100 pages, which is historical fiction about a cathedral and the goings on in and around the cathedral. I don't think I'm going to finish it in May, but I at least want to make a start on it because I told myself that I would. I'm just a bit intimidated by it, so I'm gonna try my best. And then I also have 3 thriller books from NetGalley that I want to read soon. One I believe is already out and 2 are coming out in June and July. So the first one that's already out is The Cove. This one is obviously a thriller book set in a cove and there's probably a murder or something, someone goes missing. Not too sure, it's a thriller book so I didn't read the synopsis, I just really like the cover, and I've realised that I really like reading books set in, well, first of all, set in like deserted coves or islands or something like that, or in wellness retreats, because that leads into the next book that I want to read, which is The Retreat. This is by the author of The Sanatorium, which I haven't read yet, but I did start it and I was enjoying it. The Retreat is set, it's a thriller book set in a wellness retreat, so I'm looking forward to reading it. And then the last one is Local Gone Missing by Fiona Barton. I don't know what this one's about, again, because it's a thriller book, but I've read from this author before and I really liked her stuff, so I'm hoping this one is going to be just as quick to read. So that's my ambitious May TBR. I'm going to actually add up the amount of pages that this adds up to because they are all short books, and I think in theory I can do it. I'm going to also compare it to the amount of pages I normally read per month, which is about 5,000, I think. See if I can realistically fit these books in. I think I can mostly do it apart from the bigger 3 that I showed you at the end there, but this should mean that I can make some good progress on my 0 TBR challenge, and then I can give you an update sometime in May or June on how that's going, because at the moment it's not going well and I don't want to talk about it. So let me know if you've read any of these books and which ones you think I would like, or which ones you think I should read and review. In terms of the ones I'm most excited for, I'm definitely most excited for The Black Prism, The Deep, The Doors of Eden, Parable of the Sower, and I think that's probably it. That's probably enough for me to be really excited about. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye!